How is everybody doing? Mm, hello. So I'm here for a live discussion of the Priest series. So I'll wait a couple of minutes for anybody to come into the chat and then I'll get started. What's this? Hello, Pat. Hello. It might just be us. How are you doing? Long time no see, right? Hey, Princess. How you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Hmm. So, Pat, I know, excuse me, you have read the entire series, correct? And I think, Princess, you have read the first book, right? Yes, I am definitely nibbling on popcorn. I need to stop. I figure as far as with snacks go, this is the least detrimental. Although I did have ice cream earlier. I'm gonna be good. Hmm. Tired but good, thanks. Has it been a long day? I'm good. I'm good. Recovering from working night shift. That was not fun, I tell you, and I have to work tomorrow. So I'm definitely going to sleep after this. hmm. Long time. Hopefully, we were able to relax today. I did. I got some stuff done. So, well, I can't complain. I like to be productive. I only read the first one. Okay. Well, yeah. Good to go. Are you okay if we do a bit of spoilers? I'm not going to go super in depth. Are you okay with spoilers, Princess, for the other books? I know this isn't your thing, so you're not going to read the other ones, but I just wanted to ask. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Pat, did you read Gloria as well? It's been a long day just finishing work. Oh, yeah, you are a few hours behind. That's the best part of the day, though, finishing up, right? Hmm. It's definitely nice to be done. Oh, okay. I don't mind at all. Yeah, I know that's not necessarily a big thing. Nails on. I did, and Nicole's on there too. So maybe limited people, but we'll keep this short here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, as you know, we are here to discuss the Priest series. The Priest is by Sierra Simone. Now, it is actually from my understanding, you have Priest, Sinner, and Saint are the three main books. And then you have Midnight Mass, which is a novella that follows Priest, and there's Gloria that follows Sinner. Jen's sprinting too. Everybody's sprinting. Okay, well, we'll get there through this and then people can kind of trickle off. So that is the book. So it's actually a total of 5 books if you want to look at it that way. Now, I personally is the author. Nope. She is not an author of color that I was able to determine. Now, for this series, like I said, you have the whole 3 main books and then 2 novellas. And it basically follows the Bell brothers. There's Tyler, there's Aiden, and there is Sean. Now, in the first book, for the most part, I'm just going to do a quick synopsis. Yeah, I'm just going to check out comments as we go around. So, of a general synopsis, in Priest, you have Father Tyler Bell, who is basically a priest in some little small Midwestern town. And, he is very devoted to the Catholic Church. Excuse me. Hold on. Popcorn went down the wrong way. Sorry about that. Ooh, oh my gosh. Yes, interesting. Exactly. That's the first thing that I did is I looked up her name too to see what she looked like. So I feel you. I know where you're coming from. So yeah, I think popcorn just went down the wrong way. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. 911, right? So yeah, Father Tyler Bell, who is a priest in this small Midwestern town. He is a very devoted Catholic priest to his church. And then he meets Poppy, and he's immediately enamored when she comes into confession. He loves the sound of her voice. And then, she's telling them some stuff because she used to work at this strip club, right? She is now a very independent person because she comes from a family of money. And she felt like she was kind of stifled and did not want to just follow her family's money and wanted to make a name for herself. So I get that independence. So then she meets Tyler, confesses to him, they have a little thing going on. There's this attraction. And then she's like, I need some guidance. Maybe I just need some religious guidance, to guide me to, figure out what to do with my life and maybe religion. And so, they start a little something now. Now, let me know what y'all think of well, actually, you know what? This is spoiler, so I can even go in depth. Okay, so they have a few little trysts and all this other stuff. And then she has this boyfriend named Sterling, rich boyfriend that basically just wants her, just to want her to have his way. I guess he's on like a power trip. But Poppy also, she's an interesting character and very free-spirited in the intimacy arena. And Sterling likes that as well, and so does Tyler. So Sterling kind of stalks her a little bit, comes up, and he blackmails. Well, I guess he attempted to blackmail. I guess he did in the end, though. For Tyler, he came up and basically was like, hey, I'm trying to scope out my competition. And he has these pictures of basically Tyler creeping to Poppy's house. And then eventually he does release these, and Tyler has to make a decision about whether or not he's going to stay with the priesthood and try to salvage the reputation or go his ways, separate ways. And there's a love story involved in there. So let me know what you thought of this book. Hello, Finesse. How you doing? Welcome. Let me know. Did you read this priest series? It's a very interesting erotica series we have here. Erotica romance, but a lot of interesting things that went on in it. A few are you having a laugh? Am I laughing? Not sure. So some major themes in this book that I noted, of course, there is a lot of sex. I think he stopped being devoted really quickly. Yes. Well, I felt that he was devoted to God, but he was definitely torn between loving God and the devotional way that the Catholic Church wanted him to be able to honor God with his vocation versus the sins of the flesh and the carnal knowledge that he wanted to have with Poppy. Okay. I was just curious as to what do y'all think attracted him so much to Poppy from the beginning? Like, do you think that maybe he was having some sort of doubts, and then as soon as this new girl comes in and tempts him just a little bit, because she definitely went out of her way to do so, do you think that was just a breaking point? Or was he already doubting himself to begin with? It went on a bit too long. Same. Are we talking about the book? Few things happen. You have no idea, to be honest. Okay, I get you. Yeah, I think that he was very faithful to his vocation, but I don't think that he was necessarily the most devout. I think that he loved God and didn't know any other way to express that, because he wanted to, I think, honor his sister because, that's the whole other thing that I forgot to even say. So he basically is reeling from the trauma of his sister and the sexual assault that happens in the Catholic Church. And I think he wanted to be a pillar of something good that was within the church, considering it was something bad that basically trapped his sister and then eventually caused her to commit suicide. So I think he wanted to show that there was a different side to the church and also make some change. So I think that he was maybe a bit misguided, I think, in his vocation, as far as did he really want to be a priest, or did he want to basically kind of show a different side of the church, kind of as a like putting it on a pedestal a little bit. So I thought that was pretty interesting with him, because there is such a thing called a deacon. And I learned this a few years ago, but there is deacons in the Catholic Church, which are basically, in a nutshell, priests, but they are allowed to, have like relationships and stuff like that. So they're not full-fledged priests, but they pretty much have all the same type of like vocations as far as with priests, and can serve the church. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he chose the priesthood versus maybe a deacon. But I did think that it was interesting that the book did not even mention deacons as well. So I did not like that it was not true to form of something that's a real entity that somebody could do. He was interested in her from the meeting. Yes, he was. Yes. Yeah, he heard her voice and then just was immediately enamored. I think maybe it was the idea of maybe something new. Oh, I haven't heard that before. And then he immediately, got a rise out of him. He just randomly started lusting hardcore. Yes. And it is a smutty romance, I will say, in that. But that unrealism of it kind of just got to me of like, okay, what pinpointed her versus anybody else, Hard time with thinking about things that were off page. So to me, it seems like it was random need for that woman. I agree. I think that his vocation was not that strong. I think his vocation to being a Catholic priest was not that strong, but I do think that he had devotion to the church. And I really did like his devotion to the church. One of the things that I thought was really interesting as well is the idea that he talks a lot about sex and intimacy is something that God designed to bring people closer together. But at the same time, that's something that God takes away from people, priests that serve him. So, and I understand it's supposed to bring you closer to God by, taking that away and keeping you from being sidetracked. But it's the idea that he struggled with of if God created this to bring people together. I feel like eyes in him. He felt like God was part of that act when he was doing that with Poppy. So he struggled with the idea that I think he felt God's presence in getting what he wants and also serving in other capacity. However, I also think that he changed the narrative to suit the situation. He was all about serving God and the capacity that the Roman Catholic Church set about him to do as a priest. However, when Poppy came up and he realized, ooh, this woman, we could do some stuff, then I feel like he changed his narrative in order to, why can't I serve God and do her too? So I think that selfishness factor came into play right there. He liked her from the first confession. Yes, he did. He felt guilty for not being there for his sister. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that was one of the reasons why I think he joined the priesthood, so that he can emulate something good within the church when it had taken so much away from him already, as in taking away his sister. I think it's the idea of not having the church be for naught, Curiosity, big time on his part. Very much so. I did too. I liked Father Jordan. I would not have mind there being a Jordan book. Like I kept trying to figure out what is his backstory because he kept popping up. Even in the other books, he popped up. And he's a curious little soul. And he had a significant impact on Aiden in the last book. That's the youngest Bell brother. But yeah, I think Father Jordan is an interesting story that I wouldn't have mind being told. But we weren't told that, so that's it. That's it. So another theme that I found in this book, excuse me. Okay, well, let's just throw this out there. What did you think of the sex in the church? I felt that there was a lot of it, a lot, very uncalled for, a bit not a bit, it was unsanitary. Although I do think that they did go out of their way sometimes to like show washing of hands or talk about that in order and cleaning up stuff, like wiping things down. But I still feel things were unsanitary. Why put that on yourself? Why take it upon yourself to fix that relationship with the community and the church? Why you? I think he felt guilty. I think him and all the brothers, I think that they were suffering trauma. That's what I kind of boiled it all down to, is they never got over and reconciled that the sister that they could not protect their sister, especially from such supposedly benign entities as the church and as a priest. And I think that he never reconciled that. So he wanted to kind of put himself, in my opinion, kind of in the place of the church so that it's almost like he's being that good entity that the other priest was not to his sister. So I just think that him and the other brothers just are suffering from a bunch of trauma. He knew a lot. Yes, he did. Sorry. Hello, Asma. How are you doing? We're just discussing some themes in priest here. A lot, and using the oils. Oh, yes. The oils were uncalled for. I will say that. Like, I was utterly shocked with the oil use in the back door. There were other things he could have readily used, and that was uncalled for. He's going to hell. So you can't protect your sister, so become that bridge. Yes. I completely agree. I agree. And I think in the end, it didn't serve him because he was misguided as far as with what his vocation for himself should have been. I think he was just confused. And I think when he met Poppy, it just opened the door for that. Now, what made her so special to open that door? We don't know. Maybe he was just lustful and it had been a while. But it only been, like 3 years? I was curious though, like he was 29 and they said he'd been a priest for 3 years and then he was in college banging all over the place. So what all of a sudden made you change your mind? I don't know. He better than me. Exactly. If anything, start like a petition or something. But yes, he tried to do something good and something better, and I appreciate that. But I think he was definitely misguided as far as with devoting his life to God. But I think it's interesting that he chose to devote his life to God when the rest of his family, for the most part, just turned their back after what happened with the sister. So I thought that was an interesting thing as well. Whew. You know how it is when you clean your glasses and you feel like, whoo, I can see. Get someone else to do it. Exactly. I agree. Feel like people would get really mad about the sex. Yes. I think that might have turned some folks off. I'm not sure. I think for those of us that have ventured into this book, knowing that was going to happen, because that was the first thing I heard, spoiler alert, right? Soon as I heard about this book. To me, you get over that really quick and you take it, like not a slap on the wrist, but you already know it's coming. So to me, if you're going to be offended by that, then this is not a book you should probably pick up in the first place. Or even just the idea that you have this smutty romance, because it says it up front, with a priest, a religious figure. So to me, I would think if you ventured this far to get into the book, you're just gonna roll with what they doing, where they doing it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's because his family was already religious, and after what happened to his sister, maybe he needed to prove that it was just that one man who was bad and not the entire church. Maybe it was that, but he did say he wanted to be um, a voice of change within the church, and he was trying to enact something different because he knew that there was scandals and things going on, because the parish that he was, it considered a parish anyway, the community church he took over, there was a scandal before. He replaced somebody that had a scandal, and that was a different scandal than his sister. So he knows there's some bad ish going down in the church, and he wants to be a voice of good to change that. Everything he and his family believed in, his God and beliefs, would be fake, and then they'd lose meaning in life. That's true. My whole thing is, this is a fake book. What is the point of being offended? Exactly. Yes. To me, if you were well, okay. I'm a bit peeved. I'm not overly offended by like the book. I'm just shocked that this author was like gonna do, but yes, but I'm saying overall, if someone decided to pick this up and was like, oh, I'm giving this a 1 star because they had sex in the church. I mean, come on now. I can't even take that review as something serious, If you were already offended before you picked up the book, so what's the point in doing it, of even reading it if you're not prepared for the salacious content? Very much so. The thoughts of getting caught out in their sex act. Oh, getting caught out in their sex acts on the blessing table. Yes, they were out of control, y'all. Out of control. But it was very unique. I commend Sierra Simone for going outside the box. And, at least I have not read a book that has had intimacy in a church like in that aspect before. So I was a bit impressed, I will say, about that. Let's see. I'm just looking at some notes here. Okay, so how about the ending? What do y'all think of the ending with the whole, I'm gonna call that a miscommunication trope between Sterling and Poppy and Tyler? Did you enjoy that? Who cares? Not a hardback book to go bang in a church. Exactly. Things are gonna go down in churches from time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure they're not the first people. They can drink wine in church, get drunk, and not lose their minds about that. And then getting snappy about sex is just hypocrisy. Yeah, I think people who take books too serious should not be reading this book. It is definitely for fun and entertainment and shock value. And I think in that aspect, I think it did a great job. So I hated it. Okay, thank you, Princess. I am not the only one. Yes, I did not like the ending either. Okay, no. Yes, she pushed him away by hurting him. Yep. That's rude. Yes, it is. I agree. I didn't really like Poppy like that anyways. Yeah, I think Poppy was disrespectful from the beginning. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. But I thought the book would kind of ease into their relationship stuff a little more. So I was disappointed in just how the book got started to just jumping straight in. But I felt that the ending, for one, how does she know that he sees them for real, But I didn't like that he just left. So you see them supposedly kissing, and then you just gonna bounce. You're about to give up your vocation. I'm about to have it out with her and Sterling for how much I'm sacrificing for you, and you're gonna do this. But more so, I was disappointed in the idea that they all went their separate ways and there was no checkup. So Sterling assumed that Poppy and Tyler were together. Like, you go through all this trouble, all this work, you have all these resources, rich man, and then you're just gonna drop the ball. Poppy must not have cared that much. I just felt that whole was just foul. I did not like how the book ended. I didn't get to finish, but I'm sorry you didn't get to finish. Well, that sucks. Okay. Ease, haha. Oh, that sucks. You didn't get to finish. Poppy knew what she was doing. He walked away too easy. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Hated that he gave her this. Exactly, too. But that just goes to show you just how much he cared about her. So, yeah, I didn't like that ending, but I will say that in Midnight Mass, spoiler for this, Midnight Mass, okay, it's like, I think 3 years later, and they're already married. And they go through a miscarriage in Midnight Mass for one day, or they're working all hours. He's getting his dissertation or whatever in school, and then she's working. So you know how married couples tend to miss each other and all this other stuff. And then, which I think their relationship was built so much on just sex. So when you're not having it, then it's like, what are you doing, right? But then they had a miscarriage. I will say that I think that was handled very well in like the depression that she suffered and the bounce back from that. And I appreciated that Sierra Simone kind of realistically expressed that situation, because there's so many couples that go through that. And she also wrote an excerpt at the end of Midnight Mass talking about her own fertility journey and how she had 3 miscarriages. So I think her personal experience she put into Midnight Mass, and I think she did a phenomenal job in that aspect, and how she kind of left it open. And I appreciated that she also spoke about how romances tend to always end with a relationship, like in marriage, or end with somebody getting pregnant. If you look at most romance books that you read, it ends like that. There's a baby coming, somebody about to get pregnant, or hey, we're walking down the aisle. And I liked how in Midnight Mass, she left that open where it was neither one of those. And she spoke about how that was emulating real life and wanting to do something different. So I commend Sierra Simone, especially for Midnight Mass, even though I was annoyed by many other aspects. He gave her the sister's rosary and she still lived it. Yes, that is true. For a long she was like 2 months. It was really, really quickly. Yeah, basically went for an appointment. She just found out she was pregnant, I think 3 months. And then they went for an appointment and was in a heartbeat. So very, very true to life, and I know you and I have had, some issues in the procreation department, but I got in my feelings a little bit in the Midnight Mass, but I felt that it was handled very well, because a lot of time in books, they have people just, I went through this tragedy and I bounced back. And Midnight Mass took the time to put realness to it and put people's like actual feelings into it and some reality. So I did like that a lot. Glad I didn't read that book. Yeah, it was a lot more sentimental, I will say. It was definitely a departure from Priest. I was surprised, but it was still done very well. Do not read it. Yeah, don't read it at all. Yeah, it's it was her girl. Yeah, but I think she was trying to show real life. I think it's interesting though. She's writing. Sierra Simone writes smut, but I think she's putting a lot of real feelings. I think she's an amazing writer in being able to craft a smutty story, but put some real touches in there, like even when Poppy and one of my favorite parts in Priest was when Poppy and Tyler were at the altar and she was just standing there and just looking and kind of, I guess, praying to I guess the Virgin Mary, and he came up behind her and just held her from behind. And they just were just standing there quiet, just in God's presence. And she was talking about how is it always like this, that you feel God's presence. I thought that was just one of the most touching parts in the entire book. So I think she has an amazing knack for kind of mixing. It's a juxtaposition, I will say, but she does a good job with it. I will not tend to stay away from books with miscarriages. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I didn't know that that was what it was going to be about when I read it. I was like, oh, like I was not expecting it. Like she said, books tend to end with a baby or a wedding. So the idea that you added in this miscarriage, I didn't see that coming, and I had to put the book down and walk away for a little bit. I was feeling for Poppy. I think Poppy's a hoe, but I was feeling for her at that moment. Yes, it was heavy, but it was handled very well. Ending sounds better. Not every love story ends in marriage or pregnancy, and not enough romance books. I agree. I agree, and I think she handled that very well. Yep, 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 yep. Hugs, princess. We got your back, princess. I mean, no, of course I had no idea. Oh, yeah, yeah, yep. Let's see. Kim agree. Definitely thought that too. The altar scene before he feels it okay to kiss her because God was present. He didn't feel like a sin was so nice. Yeah, and I thought that was really beautiful. Yes, I agree. I agree. A lot of people don't think about God being involved in sexual acts and in intimacy when in actuality God created that. So I felt that intimacy was nice. But he also felt it was intimacy when he was, and I was like, okay, that's not the same thing. Let's just have a kiss on the forehead and hold each other at the altar. Okay, I'll take that one. A moving part where they both felt something. Yes, that was very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Caught a break from his guilt and could breathe. Yes. And then he started feeling it again. So that is priest. So let's move away from that one. Okay. So priest we have there. So next you have sinner. So Sinner is basically so Sinner follows Sean. Sean is the oldest of the Bill brothers. You know, he's rich, he's successful, he's been chasing money and girls and power, and he's just trying to climb the corporate ladder and live his best life. He does not do relationships. You know, he's like, I'm a player for life, okay? Bros before hoes, right? That's him. So then he meets at a dinner party, he meets Zinni. Now, Zinni, he doesn't know at first who Zinni is. He just thinks she's just this beautiful girl, and she's just aloof to say, I'm going to school, and, you know, this is the last day I'm going to be able to get a kiss. But they're not able to do it, and, you know, he leaves. So then he eventually meets like her like a week or two later, and he finds out that Zinni is about to take vows to become a nun. He also finds out that this beautiful Zinni woman is his best friend's little sister. Okay. And this book actually adds in a racial diversity mix, okay, because Zinni is black, and so is Sean's best friend. Hold on, wasn't Jordan black too? Let me know, y'all. I can't remember. Was Jordan? Remember the good priest guy? Was he black? Anyway, so Sean meets up with Zinni, and Zinni's like, hey, I'm about to take this vow, but I've never really been with anybody. And my mother superior, who is very progressive, I will say, thinks that I need to have some sort of testing of my vocation to make sure that this is indeed something that I want to do. And because Zinni is also trying to assert her independence. So she wants to make sure that, you know, this is what I want to do. So she tells Sean, hey, I want you to give me a sexual awakening, kind of like that movie Sweet November with Charlize Theron and Keanu Reeves. So basically he agrees that, hey, you're going to be my little slugger for a month before you take your vows. But he immediately jumps like head on in, talking about he has booty one time, and the next morning he's like, hey, let's move in together. Okay. So that's how that plays out. And then, you know, eventually he says, hey, you know, I love you. And then she runs away, you know, and then eventually they get back together. So that's that whole thing. Okay. But this book was, I think, very similar in the idea of a woman trying to assert her own free will, because Zinni comes from a family that is very structured about, hey, you're going to go to this HBCU, you're going to marry such and all these ducks in a row. And she wanted to be her own person. And she felt that joining the nunnery would allow her to do that. Sean, on the other hand, he's still reeling from like the trauma and stuff of the sister's death and doesn't believe in God. So they have a little issues between that. But that don't stop them from getting busy. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for the tea on the second and third books. There you go. Hey, I'm gonna tell it, okay? Yes, she is Black. Yes. And she's not like Holly Berry Black. She like Lupita Black. I appreciated that as well, mind you, okay? I have no idea. I may need to pick up this book. I felt that this book had less sex, in my opinion. I think Kiana said she felt that there was more, but I felt there was less sex in this book than there was in Priest. Now, if you check out, I would suggest y'all check out my Zoom meeting. It's only 14 minutes video, and you can kind of see certain things about where they had sex. But they were trying to reposition this little shelter where they were at. So they got busy in the shelter. They were in the church at one point, but they had a lot of, just regular sex up in the, in the apartment. Okay. But these books likes to use oils. So they use vegetable oils. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So don't fry no chicken with that, y'all. Hey, Nell, how you doing? Yes, they did. He saw her and it was like, let me see the white cotton panties. And then she rose up her dress, and then he had a show of consciousness and basically wanted to run away. Yeah, I was like, what the world? Yes. Yes, he was immediately. Now, there is an age gap trope in this one as well. Sean is, I believe, 34, 36, and Zenny just turned 21. So he got a little co-ed booty and just went buck wild in that piece. You know how them old men do, nice and pristine, got a spanking on and a shine. He was like, yes, I got it. So that was Sean right there. As fast as this Speedy Gonzalez. Now, granted, all of these Bell brothers are very blessed. You know what I'm saying? So, they're a catch right there. She was rebellious. Let me see if I have any notes about Sinner. Anybody read Sinner? Because otherwise, I'm just going to talk about it here. Let's see. There was also the whole idea with Sean in this book. He also had the trauma of his sister, committing suicide. So he was not over that. So he had, stopped believing in God as well. However, when he met Zenny, they had a lot of conversation about faith and about having blind faith in something when you don't really understand it. So he had to wrestle that through his head as well. And then there was also of course, that was a racism trope, y'all. Okay, so let me tell you about this, right? So they're at a party. This really pissed me off. Hold on, let me get through some comments here. This is not the guy that moves fast, so that's interesting. Yeah, he was just whipped from the beginning. I'm like, what? I agree. I like the plot. Like, I like a little sex with my plot. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like plot with the sex. So I did appreciate this one a whole lot more. Thank you. I was piecing it together. I could have done something different, but I pieced it together as best as I could. But I enjoyed it. Lubrication, but it doesn't make condoms effective. I will say that. She likes oils. I will tell you that. And you know what? At least they are not raw dogging. That can hurt a little bit. She wanted him from a little child, as he said, comforting words at the funeral. Yes, that is true. That is true. She offered him to go and watch. Oh, what was it? Play a game or something. No, Jurassic Park at his sister's funeral. Yes, I thought it was really cool that she was like, Mom said not to disturb you because you're sad, but I figured you want to come watch Jurassic Park. I thought that was beautiful. Thank you for coming by. Thank you. Thank you. I know y'all were sprinting over there. Yes, well, she was getting a little education. I just don't understand how you're going to get sexed up for a month and be okay with just leaving that, after you just got a little piece, though. I will say, though, that her first time I was really pissed at, right? So her first time, she only ventured into it once. She was in high school, like back in the day, right? She was with this guy. They had decided they were going to do the do, right? So he just told her to lay down, take her clothes off, and, no prepping or nothing. So when she said it hurt and told him to stop, he stopped, was pissed at her, and then basically got other people to bully her and call her names all over the internet and all. So I was really peeved. It's like, wow, okay. A guy does you dirty and then you're the bad person. So I appreciated that Sean took his time and he was upset with her about that. Spicy things. They all like that, right? Hey, they're keeping it slippery. Okay. You don't want to endanger yourself. It can be a medical condition, too dry. Okay. Okay, good. Yes, we're talking about Sinner. I'm just going through each book. Yep. Okay, thought I bought the wrong Kindle book. Okay, so another part about the whole racism thing, right? So, you have Black characters, so of course they're going to add that in. So a part that really also irritated me is that, and this was handled in the explanation good. I just felt that it was like an essay at that point. So Zinni and Sean went to kind of like a fundraiser, right? She goes, I think, to the bathroom or something. He's talking with all his little flunkies and coworkers, right? So then she comes back. Now she's dressed up in her snatched, right? And she comes up and the woman's like, one of the coworkers, oh, can you get me another glass of champagne? And can you take this? Like she the maid or the servant, right? And Sean's just looking like, huh? And then eventually, I guess it comes out and they say that, oh, she is, her father's like this famous doctor or famous like judge or something. And then the lady's like, oh, your father's this judge or whatever. And oh, he's a great. Basically, they're treating her like she's extra and like she's pretty much only has clout because of who her father is. And like she's just a non-entity. So Sean gets really upset because he realizes there's that little subtle undercover racism trope that goes on right there. Okay. He didn't recognize it. Zinni did. And then he was about to, pop up, but he was talking about the privilege of being white and stuff like that. So I thought his explanation and how he understood it, I appreciated he got woke in that one instance and became aware of it. And became aware of how maybe in the past he had contributed to that same type narrative of, of subjectifying somebody of another race. I just felt that it just kind of went on a little bit too much. Like it was just a teaching point there. But she pulled him to the side before he got a little bit too out in his privilege of calling other people out on their privilege. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. Hey, Lissies, how you doing? She liked, oh my gosh. Oh my God. Certain individuals in communities like that type of play. I'm trying to keep this clean, y'all. Don't get me in trouble on the internet here. Not trying to call people out. Yes. Oh, no. And Ulysses, have you read all of these books? We're about to get to Saint. Anybody have any questions about Sinner? I would throw ass at this man from how y'all making it sound. I mean, I would too. He rich and stuff too, but he was a player and a homemonger. He only tried to settle down and wife up Zinni. If we would have met him, we would have been bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. So, I'm about you staying. I'm going to give you some, but you got to stay. This ain't transient, okay? Put up some dukes. Oh my God. Princess is out of control, but she honest. I appreciate that. Famous father or not, I will go to jail and my father will get me off. Yeah. I was just like, what part of this says she's the servant? Like, generally, when you go to these functions, the servants are very clearly labeled, right? Is what, black pants, white or black shirt, maybe they got an apron and they're holding a damn tray. So what part of she in a ball gown prettied up says, I work here? Okay, so but I do appreciate that Sean came to her aid, because if he would not have, we would have had some issues. Okay, okay. So I appreciate he got woke in that minute. Okay, but he realized there was some privilege going on there, especially when they realized their parents were of standing in the community. Yes, but here's the thing: why do I have to be validated by my parents? And that was one of her issues of going into the nunnery, is she did not want to be validated by who and where she came from. You know, yeah, Center was nice. Yes, Center was good. I agree. I don't know. I think Priest is probably my favorite. It's just so unique, you know. Maybe I'm dirty, whatever. How are you going to keep a discussion on this series? I mean, we've been doing good thus far. We haven't had cussing. We haven't been saying a bunch of foul things. We're discussing a book. Just like the Zoom, I kept it very precise and professional. How are you going to get? Oh, that one. Sorry. It's a bit too late to be thinking about your image on the internet. You know, anybody that knows me knows me. I keep it tame, but you know, I'm not too out there. I can get a player and I can make him a whole house husband. Hey, that works. But he making all the money, girl. I will be a player with him. There we go. But he don't like to hit up twice though. So, you know. That's been saying a lot. Oh my God. Okay, I will be a player with him, so I would at this point might as well share him. Yeah, that's true. Hey, he shares some folks, y'all. He would be up for that too. My underparts work magic. How y'all think I got the ring and Amo? Ooh, okay. Okay, I ain't mad at you. Go ahead, Mike. Ow. Black girl magic. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I ain't mad at you. Nell's like, no. Oh my gosh. Yes, of course, even the nurse was pissed with him. Bam, bam, one time and gone. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. So there was this nurse. They went to, oh, we completely forgot about that. Thank you, Pat. See, I needed somebody else should be on here with me. So there was also another plot line in this book where the mother was dying of cancer. And so there was a very realistic depiction of taking care on all the trials and tribulation that goes with a family member dying and suffering of this disease and the toll that it takes on everybody. So that was very well done. I work for a hospital, so I think some of the stuff they talked about even in the hospital was done very well. Now, he went to the hospital at one point to go check out mama, and oh girl who he banged out was not happy because he didn't call back. And he apologized though. I'm just saying, player, you apologizing? Players don't apologize. They be like deuces. So he was reformed. A little too reformed. And Jace makes his placements. I know. Look, the Midwest, y'all. You're still here. We can start the next sprint. I'll be back. We're about to go to Saint. That's you. You're no princess. Hey, you know what? You do you, girl. About two people having sex in the church. Where is the uniqueness? On the altar with all the oils and utilizing the sanctified cloths was out of control. Okay. Princess, you and Mike ought to read these books together as bedtime reading. I read some of these things to my husband. He was like, no way. Hold up. Let me finish brushing my teeth so I can hear you. Um, yes, the mom, yes. There was that, yes. And she did expire, just to let you know. He was a romance reader to please his mom. That was also really nice too. That was the way him and his mom bonded with reading romance. I did like that a lot. That was a good bonding experience too. Thank you for reminding me. Three things I can't do with miscarriage, sexual assault. Oh, ooh, okay. You are in the wrong series. Yes. Yeah. I would steer clear away from this one then. He apologized. Can't him. He apologized. Oh yeah, he did apologize. Yeah, he turned over a leaf in what is it, like 3 weeks? Yeah, he zinnied and whipped it on him, and he doing all sorts of stuff. I don't take what you can get, self-respect who and don't know. Yep, that is true. That is true. But she should never gave it up like that and expected a call back. So also in this book, you're introduced to Elijah. Now, Elijah is Sean's best friend, right? Now, Aiden is the younger brother and he's very like flighty. Like there was at one point, Sean said that Aiden had agreed to help him move a couch. Next thing you know, he goes off to Belize. Okay, so he's one of those flighty type people, very free spirit. I appreciate it, right? Now, Aiden's been acting sketchy and very secretive. And then Sean goes over to his home and he catches Elijah and Aiden, in their little love nest, right? So you get introduced to them in this particular book. Now, fast forward to Saint. Saint picks up their story. Now, the beginning of the story, it's already talking about Elijah and Aiden together. I guess they were together like a year. And then Aiden decided to just jet off without telling anybody why to go become a monk. And then fast forward, it's 5 years. So it's 5 years. He'd been a monk doing his monk thing in Timbuktu. And then Elijah comes up and to the monk monastery and says, hey, I am getting engaged. I just want you to know, bro. Okay, you left me. I want to see how you living and what you left me for. So, they share a little kiss or whatever. But, Aiden's like, I'm staying in the monkhood. This is where I belong. Deuces, I can't tell you why I left. Okay, so there's this whole mysterious allusion up to it, right? So then Elijah leaves. He's a writer. And then somehow he comes back like a month later. This whole scenario is just dumb, okay? So he comes back a month later and basically says, I'm writing an article about monks and brewing beer. So apparently monks like beer and have the best beer in the world. So I need to go get me some. So he says, I'm going to basically follow you around and you're about to go on this little European tour or whatever to go figure out where you're going to live your monkhood at, to these different monasteries in Europe. And I'm going to accompany you to write this article. So apparently the Catholic Church is going to pay for Aiden to go travel around with his ex-boyfriend and do. Knowing, because he had to confess to his brohood that he did something with homeboy before they left. What in the world? I was just like, okay, that was not okay. So we just gonna let that go. That they just basically gave them a free trip. And when he comes back, of course, he has this whole crisis of faith, and then eventually he gets out. So, but yeah, I thought that was very, very odd. But they do a lot of stuff, they have a lot to do outside in nature, communal with nature, it's natural. So they're doing their thing, I ain't mad at it. I wouldn't mind trying it. Let's see what happens outside. They're up in the altar at the monk monastery doing some stuff. I don't think there was any oils. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat. Did they have any oils? Nope. Elijah is very, very responsible The first day, he goes into town with the other monks in their little truck and he buys lubes and condoms. So he is very responsible. And every time they go someplace, he's just happens to be carrying a lube in his pocket. Who goes around carrying a lube in their pocket just in case? And in this particular book, Aiden is apparently on this vow of chastity, and apparently he's still getting excited all the time. So he has like a little chastity cage that he wears in the area, and there's a key that he wears around his neck. Now he was doing this way before Elijah showed up. So I'm not sure why you're carrying the key around all the time. I don't know, but at night he puts it on his bed. And then one day Elijah steals the key because he knows they're going to do some stuff out in the woods. So I don't know. It was just odd. All that was just odd to me. Let me know what y'all think of all that craziness I have just said, especially if you have not even read the book. Let me know. Sweet time, mother and son bonding. Yes, I thought that was very beautiful that they bonded over smutty romance novels. And I like when he went for his cancer treatment, when she went for the cancer treatments and he went with her, that he would read to the other people and they were looking forward to it. That was beautiful. Best friend that is black with the black sister. Yep. Brothers. I need gay version of Priest and he wrecks people. I don't know. Look, Kindle Unlimited. Look at Kindle Unlimited. I'm pretty sure that if you type this up and then look at the bottom recommendations, some stuff will pop up. Kay, you got the smut on lock, okay? Yeah. That's who the youngest brother gets with. Yep, with Elijah. Yepers. Gay monk, count me in. What I really liked about the monastery is that they did not judge him. Like with the monastery life, I learned a lot about it. Apparently, it's a community. You live and die all within that community. They don't normally leave. So they were basically sending him to test out these 3 different monasteries to figure out which one he wanted to basically spend the rest of his life with. But I thought it was beautiful, that commune with nature that they have out. I thought that was absolutely amazing. But you are immersed in this community. So when you sin or do something bad, you tell everybody else that's there. So he had to basically tell all of these monks, hey, me and old dude, I gave him a, but there was no judgment. They accepted him for who he was. And even the other monks all had their own little backstory as well. And some of them were very unique. So I appreciated that overwhelming acceptance for exactly who he was, regardless of whether they agreed with it or not. Because as a monk, the whole idea is he is supposed to be chaste. So whether you like male or females don't really matter. But I agree. I appreciated that acceptance that they had. So that is, to me, true piousness. His box protecting the godly goodness. Yeah, okay. It was all right until he had the key. I think soon as Elijah saw that key, he just went ape. He was like, oh, I think he started lusting after him even more as soon as he saw the key around his neck. Beyond wild. I was like, what the other? Yeah, I didn't know they locked it up, man. Oh my gosh, that's crazy, right? Love when his fiance came to meet him. His fiance was a really good dude. I was wanting a trope or something to happen with the fiance, like adding a little extra. Like, I know this is a romance, but I don't mind in romance being like, throw me a curveball, like maybe somebody cheated or whatever, but then they came back together. Like, throw some little realism in there, or maybe they would. I mean, this is smut. Why not have like a little threesome, and then you realize, hey, I just want it to be us. I don't know. I'm just saying, Jamie should have got something. Jamie is the fiance. They just had him be this nice guy. And in the end, after Elijah had already left Jamie, the fiance, he baked goods like like muffins and crap and came to the monastery to meet Aiden to tell him he should go be with Elijah. Like, you gonna give me some muffins? That ain't real life right there, y'all. Can you imagine baby mama coming to the house? I made you some muffin, even though I did your man, but whatever. Fiance. Yes, he had a fiance. So glad I ain't him. He took that in stride. He was a real good dude. It'd be nice if he actually had somebody too. Yes, he was a fiance. Lobe chastity cage. Yes. Yeah, he gotta pee. Yeah, you know what? He could do it through it because there were, like, he would wake up. I'm trying to word this right. He would wake up in the middle of the night with emissions that has occurred while his cage was on, where he had to change his sheets. You know what I'm saying? So he's still able to take care of bodily functions. And apparently he wears a metal one during the day and a plastic one at night. So that was really odd too. I'm telling you, that was just some stuff in this book. I was like, what in the world? Asma, watch your young ears. Sierra, what are you smoking? Sierra is a trip, y'all. I'm telling you. Cage was knocking, let me out, let me out. Yep. They found that key. They had tried in their relationship, but they were hungry and the box didn't work then. That's true. You know what I also thought was interesting? Okay, so when Elijah first came to the monastery, the only room that happened to be available was the one right next to Aiden, right? But this is before they did anything. But the walls are paper thin. So Aiden hears Elijah taking care of himself next door. And he's like listening at the wall. That was out of control, y'all. Yeah, Jamie was a sweetheart. He can make me some muffins. I would have done that. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, okay. I'm not a grudge person, but I ain't baking no one muffins. And driving an hour to come all the way out here. Hence why those robes flow. Exactly. I'm a good person, Pat. You are a good person, but I'm going to keep my baked goods to myself, okay? You should have went out there and maybe got some. Figure out, why is Elijah running back here? Yes, it was next door. Yes, that was nuts. But I thought he was about to just like crap his pants right then and there. And let's see. Let me see if there's any notes I had. Elijah. Oh, but of course, as y'all know, there was a whole lot of trying to determine whether or not, he should stay and resolve. Oh, pretty much all of these books had the whole idea of resolving your relationship with God and a commitment you want to have with God compared to or versus having this relationship with someone else. And, of course, it's all seemingly based on sex right there. So I did like that this book also tackled the idea of the bigotry of the Catholic Church and the sexuality of women and of queer individuals, of staying chaste, but not necessarily of that of men. So I thought that was a very interesting idea that I think Elijah was the one that brought that up. Let's see, I'm just looking at my notes. There was also the whole mental illness component here as well, because Aiden suffered from depression. Pretty much the whole idea is that Aiden Aiden was depressed, right? And he'd been suffering from low-key depression, maybe even kind of bipolar to a certain extent for most of his life. And he had almost killed himself. And then he got a text that had a religious component to it. And that's what made him go to the monastery and run away. I was just peeved that he would not have told Elijah and you just ran away and not tell anybody. But I was curious because in the end, it did speak about Father Jordan, who popped up, by the way, in this book. Maybe Sierra Simone is going to continue the story at some point because Father Jordan popped up several times, and especially in this book. And it just seemed like there was something important besides him having been the one that maybe sent this text to Aiden to have him think about going to the monastery. But I'm just saying that Father Jordan really does need a story to figure out what is his issue, unless he's kind of like that voice of God, because he is the most devout, like hardcore of all of them. However, he's a man and I know he has a backstory somewhere, so I wouldn't mind hearing about that. But I didn't think that this book had the trauma of the sister. It didn't seem like it affected Aiden or was not expressed as well. So I felt like this book, compared to Priest and Sinner, it was a departure from kind of that whole storyline of men wrestling with their faith when it comes to like compared to the sister. So I thought this one was definitely a bit different, but still good. I really did enjoy this book a lot. Might skip Sinner and go straight into Saint. It was good. I think the whole monastic life was beautiful. Like I enjoyed, just like in the first book, when I was talking about Poppy and Tyler at the altar being in commune with God, just at the altar, silent amongst themselves, and how beautiful and touching a moment that was. I felt like the descriptions of monastic life and being one with God in nature, and nature kind of being like this healing power of prayer and all this stuff, and living in this community with these people that accept you like brothers as you are, and you get to drink a whole bunch of beer all the time because they drink all the time. That sounds lovely, but they can't do. And that's where Aiden had an issue at, he wanted to do some other stuff. I didn't say I would bake, but I would have gone and talked to him about getting with the love of his life and stop being foolish. They would get together at some point. Cages, monks, and paper thin walls. And they're all a big, happy, horny family. Yeah, there you go. See, Jamie should have been in the mix. Jamie needs to be with somebody, y'all. My biggest complaint, why does that? Who became a priest and monk in the most extreme way as a response to legit creepy priest? Who becomes a priest and monk in the most extreme way as a response to a legit creepy priest? You know what? I think they're just misguided. I think all of them are misguided in a way of expressing their feelings. I think maybe a little bit more counseling and putting into perspective of what happened to their sister, I think would have served them all well. However, I think Aiden suffered from bipolar or depression, and I think that he just never really got legitimate help when it came to that in his case. That is why Sinner is my favorite, the most idealistic, and shows the most growth. He does have growth, but he got growth quick, man. Like, he met Zenny and bam, he a changed man. That's a lot of growth right there. But Sean also, well, he was the oldest as well, but also he saw his mother dying and was taking care of her and all that stuff. So I think he was kind of forced to grow up being in such a responsible situation. Makes you wonder what goes into the church and the Vatican. Who are you telling, Pat? Who are you telling? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And I want to know, how did he get get the phone number? That wasn't really sort of kind of explained. But I just feel like he has a story that would be a very profound one. I would be curious what Sierra Simone would do with Father Jordan's story. back again. Well, we are wrapping up, Miss Nell. Is there anything anyone else wants to say about these books here? I think I gave good enough spoilers between me and Pat and Ulysses. I think we've done good spoilers for Sinner and Saint. I was overseeing from a distance. No problem. No problem. I think he was just the divine voice. Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. He was that divine voice of reason of a true person that had a calling compared to the faux calling of Aiden, Zenny. Well, he didn't really factor with Zenny, but of Aiden and of Tyler. But I still wouldn't mind his backstory because in the end, he's a divine voice, but he's also a man, and there's something that brought him to the priesthood. I think there's always something that brings someone to something. And I think when it comes to something as devout as religion and as the priesthood or the monk, where especially as a man that you're willing to give up the idea of intimacy for life, there's something really profound that brings you to that point. I'm always curious as to what that would be for somebody, because there is always temptation. And as you can tell, Aiden and Tyler gave into that very readily. We have not seen what would maybe potentially tempt Father Jordan. I wouldn't mind kind of seeing what Sierra Simone would do with something like that. Maybe he would keep his faith. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. Hello. Oh, Kiana. We're about to leave. Thank you for coming by, Miss Lady. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Do you have any questions you want to ask about sinner, saints, or priest? Now's the time. Forever hold y'all peace, y'all. I'll have to pop in and out. Oh, we're wrapping up. I wanted to do like an hour and a half. So we're what time did we start? We started 7:30. Oh, so we're doing good. We're still within the hour and a half mark. Hey, Asma. Hey, Pat. I like the mother mentor advisory knowing what Zany needed. I liked that too. I like a very progressive view, especially with church and religion, because religion has definitely changed and the world has changed quite a bit. And so I appreciate the mother had such a view of Zany needs to know what she's missing before making such a commitment to the church, especially at such a young age without having experienced life and especially the flesh stuff. And apparently she got a hold of that and was good to go. I think some therapy would have been a better way to handle the trauma response to what happened with their sister. I agree. I think they did mention that they may have before, but whatever it is, it didn't work. So yeah, I think that they definitely went off in different fashions. What in the world? Our friends want happy hour. I'm trying to figure out how he didn't know that was Zany. It seemed like there weren't many Black people. I agree. But you know what? Here's the thing. He hadn't seen Zany in like 12, 13 years, right? Because Sean's old, right? And I'm just kidding, but he hasn't seen her in a long time. And this is a fundraiser. So they didn't say what the demographic of everyone at this fundraiser was. So, it's mixed company. And she wasn't like standing right next to Elijah. So, he could have, not seen her and recognized her, But he saw her and was like, ooh, ready, I want her. Interesting read. I'll go to Alexandra House and others. Bit more chocolate. Yeah, you want a little bit more darkness to your story. I get you. Still got 15 minutes before the hour and a half up. That's true. So what comments do y'all have? I've been talking a lot. What more questions do y'all have about this series or want to put out? Father Jordan may have been dipping in and out, probably himself looking. I suspected that in Saints that was Father Jordan when they kept talking about this visiting priest from America. I was like, I bet you that's Father Jordan. I was expecting him to pop up somewhere when they're doing the do in the woods because they were not careful. I feel like, truthfully, none of these brothers, none of them were careful at all. It could have easily have been walked in on. But in the context of Aiden and Elijah, they're out in the woods doing willy-nilly, knowing that there's a visiting priest that is out communing with nature and has been out for weeks. And these monks are, they live in the land, walk around, hikes and all this stuff. So you would have thought that they would have been a lot more cautious, knowing anybody could just walk up on them. But they weren't. So I don't know. But yes, I was thinking Father Jordan was having a little look-see. And he probably did at one point because there was an illusion that he said towards the end about like making up your mind and stuff. So I think he saw them. But I was just expecting something to happen with him. Like I seriously was thought he was going to jump in for a threesome. I ain't gonna lie. Like I was a bit disappointed. Tread lightly with Alexandria House. I have not read that, but I heard mixed reviews. Mama! Yes, we are finishing up. We have talked about the books. What would you like to say about the books? I know that you read, so let us know. Let us know. There's worse. True, that's true. Hey, Mama. Flavor. She wants more flavor. Yes, diversify the portfolio a little bit. Hey, Mayama. So nobody had a problem with the age difference between Zinni and Sean. I mean, I didn't really. I feel like that just contributed to him being whooped even more because generally he don't mess with little young girls like that. So I figured this little young girl just put it on him really good. But here's another thing though. Well, I guess she still could have been Elijah's little sister and not been so young. But I also think her age played into the whole idea of what the head nun said of go out and get a little life experience because she is so young and has not really done anything. So the fact that she's about to commit her life to the church, I think it played into that whole factor of the nun giving her that out to go and do something. So I don't know. And she was also more wise, I think that she kind of had that old soul type thing, I mean, in the family. Nobody had a problem with the age difference between Sean and Zinni in the family. Oh, I guess not. No, I don't think so. They is married now. Married now with, and then they started popping out babies. Aiden talks about that all the time in the last book. Apparently they had like 4 or 5 kids. They just started becoming a baby factory too. So, Hey Jess, how you doing? Welcome. You have any questions? We have discussed all 3 of the books thus far. You have any questions you want to ask or any insights you want into the books? Hello, Pat. Everybody say Pat, Bad, and Pat. Oh, hold up. His mother is code 2. All right. Oh, hold up. His mother spoke to her. Oh, yes. His mother knows they were doing the do. She knows. Sean's like the mom's ride or die. He takes her to her cancer treatments. They read smutty novels together. They communicate with all the other cancer friends. So she knows what her boy doing. She knows. She probably knows as well. He went from being player man to now I'm at home every night pining over Zinni and crying. Yeah, she knew. I want to know the dad story. The dad story? Who, Zinni's dad? The dad was, oh, okay, Sean and them dad. Dad was trying to make life, It was interesting getting to the mind of the priest. It goes to show you what happens when sex is suppressed. I didn't finish Saint and didn't start Sinner. You know what? I will say overall, these books were nice, but entirely too long. I was apprehensive about, was it? I think it was Sinner. No, it was Saint. Saint was incredibly long. But if you look at plus Midnight Mass, it's about as long as Saint. And then Sinner was still over, 300, like almost 4. I just felt like for a smutty, like I said this before, if you've been around my channel a while, just a regular romance to me, 250 pages or less. I don't need anything more. Anything more than that, and it's a straight romance, if I even read it, I'm probably not, I'm not doing it. Okay. But I feel like erotica should be even less, like less than 200 pages. I'll give you 250. Let's just say 250 for romance / erotica. So being 300, 400 pages, over 400 pages, which is what Saint was it just entirely too long for me. I felt that it was long-winded. And I think most of the reason of why it was long was like the whole conundrum about, trying to decipher, their religious leanings, and I just felt that it was just a lot. I appreciate y'all recommending these books to me. I think I had fun, and I'm glad that y'all are participating and that other people read them too. We can definitely do this again. But I would not have continued this series. Maybe I would have read the first book, I ain't gonna lie. Had it not been like for a group thing, because I just felt that they were way too long and they did not need to be for what the genre is. However, I am not strictly a romance, erotica type girl. I like mine kind of mixed in, like give me a fantasy erotica romance, or something like that. So, but I did think that they were very, very long. Okay. Mother spoke to Zany on her deathbed. Yes, she did. She was given the blessings, y'all. I agree with my yama, especially on folks who aren't asexual. It's just self-destructive in a way. I agree. Yeah, they could have been shorter. Definitely. Yep. Yep. And what's crazy is it wasn't even the sex. Like sometimes you'll have a book that extends out because they're trying to add in a bunch of sex. And it wasn't even that, especially the last book. It wasn't even that by far. Priest was on the shorter side. Yes, I agree. But then you added in Midnight Mass. I think personally for what this series was, I don't think Midnight Mass was needed. Midnight Mass was like almost like a whole nother story in the sentimentality of it. It was handled well, but I felt like they could have just cut that out. That's one of the reasons I didn't read Gloria. And Gloria was shorter. I think it was just like 43 pages. Shorter, I was struggling. Next time, let's do a short book series. Oh, I'm down for that, but we need some like fantastical elements or something. Don't wait to coordinate. Read to support us. Oh, nothing wrong. Yeah, we will definitely make sure it's a diverse author next time. But I had a blast. I think this was fun. I definitely recommend y'all, or not recommend, commend y'all for us doing this and doing a buddy read, because I definitely did not know about this prior to. So it's been a blast. It's been really, really fun. Who is Gloria? Gloria is I don't even know who Gloria is personally. I know Gloria follows Zinni and Sean's story, I think, when, like, as they're on their way to getting married, from what I read. I could be wrong. Somebody else look up Gloria. Hold up, let me see. I needed Midnight Mass. I didn't like Priest. Midnight Mass saved the series at that point for me. It saved. Oh, really? Oh, how come? Gloria. Let me see, Gloria. Let's see. I'm still going to continue reading the series and review. It was a blast. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But definitely it dragged out a little bit. But I do think that it went quick. Like, regardless of how much I think that the books kind of dragged out, I still think that it went quick and I did enjoy it. I just felt like I'm continuing to read, but it wasn't like the story itself was like, oh, this is boring. It wasn't like that. I was just like, this book should be done with already. Okay, so Gloria takes place after Sinner, contains spoiler for Sinner. When to reform Sinner, Sean Bell just wants one thing, to keep him warm, a bride. Luckily, he's already got one in Zenny. So the way, but winter weddings never go as planned. Things heat up as the Sinner's wedding gets snowed in. So yeah, it's basically about the events leading up to their wedding, and I guess they get snowed in with weather. So it's basically it sounds like it's just an erotica short story. It's like 43 pages. Yeah. Thank you for hosting this Friday. Thank you very much. Let me know if y'all want to do another group read. I'll figure out something. I'll add my thoughts on Storygraph soon. I'll be done with Priest tomorrow. Just a little bit left. Oh, I'm sorry we gave you some spoilers in here. Thank y'all so much. We're going to get out of here, okay? They only had one sister. Yeah, one sister, one brother. But I think Jordan was black, though, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was black. But still, I do like the diversity. I think it was to diversify the storyline. But, it is what it is. I did appreciate that it was added in there, but there wasn't anything. I felt like it was purely to diversify the storyline because there was nothing else besides the whole one instance of racism in Sinner and the instance of racism that Elijah spoke about on his job in Saint. With the exception of that, there was nothing else to denote that any of these characters were black. So it was definitely just a diversification checkpoint, okay? However, I do think it was handled well in the I want to say drama or in the storyline that they added it for. Is she the father's outside child? Is she the father's outside child? Hold up. They only had one sister. Is she the father's outside child? I'm not sure what that means. Pat asking. Pat's like, sketchiness. Gloria was about their wedding. Yep. Yeah, I don't need to worry about them and their wedding. They got married. That's all that matters. They got married and started having a bunch of babies, according to Aiden. Okay. Don't forget Nell's read along. Yes, she is doing Under the Whispering Door. If y'all are interested, Under the Whispering Door. There we go. See, hey, look at that, Kiana. High five. It was a blast, Courtney. Had fun. Thank you, y'all. Let's get out of here. It's 9:00. I gotta go to sleep. I'm gonna take a long shower and take some melatonin and go to bed because I gotta go to work tomorrow and I'm exhausted. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming. Much appreciated. I will see y'all on Thursday, bright and clear with a new book. Okay. Y'all have a lovely day.